Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. My name is Eric McDaniel, and I was the President of Student Council for the 2013-2014 year. Each year, Council holds this service to help remember the students who are no longer with us. And I've been every year since my first year, and it's always meant a lot to me. And I know it means a lot to all of those who are gathered here, so I thank you for taking the time to be with us. The rundown of the service will be brief welcome remarks by me, followed by a reading of 4 poems and 4 moments of silence for the students. And then at that point, I'd like to invite any family or friends who would like to share memories or stories or any remarks to come up and do that. And then just very brief closing remarks. I'd like to begin by apologizing that we aren't in the garden. We had to make the rain call a little bit earlier today before the weather cleared up. But when I met Tom, it was my second week on grounds. He lived 2 floors above me. I never got to know him well, but I did know of both his accent and his charm. He was a magnetic sort, surrounded by flocks of people in the common room whenever he sat down, new ones each time I'd walk past. I'd hear his name daily, even if I didn't see him, joyfully on the lips of those who would soon become my dearest friends at the university. He was loved. Well before I had been properly introduced, I knew Tom because of the character of those he surrounded himself with. When I met him, he was just as kind and compassionate as I had expected. When I woke up on the morning of March 28, 2011, I was unaware of Tom's passing. It was the day of my 19th birthday. That afternoon, I was riding my bike between classes and fell. It was a fall without consequential reason. I just hit my brakes a bit too hard and lost control of the bike. It was a fluke and something that could have happened to anyone. Nonetheless, I spent the rest of the day in the medical center getting my right arm x-ray set and casted where I had broken it. There, sitting with my mother who was in town, was where I heard about Tom. Tragic and random. Something that could have happened to anyone. That day, I sat in the med center for hours and thought about it, and randomness, and how blessed I was to be in the arms of my mother, to have my family, and how blessed I was to love and to be loved. For the last 3 years, I've thought about Tom every time I blow out the candles on my cake. I make my wish for him. More than that, though, I think about him every day as I go about things big and small. Kindness he showed to me and those around him, and I try my best to show it to others. I think about the smile and the occasional mischievous gleam in his eye, and I try and express and share the sheer joy he found in life with those around him. I consider the honor of my actions, and whether or not they would honor his life and memory. Because I cannot help but feel, in some very real way, linked to Tom. I feel as though I must do my very best for him, to show him and everyone I interact with that his character and compassion and heart live on. And I know all of the students who have passed, who we remember today, who I didn't know, have had similar impacts on others. Even if they weren't here for as long or were not as outgoing, they are remembered here every day for their acts, big and small. Maybe she is remembered as the one other person pushing through at the library late at night, the one who didn't give up on her paper and gave you the quiet support you needed to trudge on. Maybe as the boy who shared his umbrella in the rain, or the girl who swiped you in when you forgot your card and didn't have money for dinner. Maybe as the one kind enough to lend a pencil or offer a reassuring smile on the bus, or the one who carried out one and many of the thousands of other acts of tiny kindnesses that make our community so singular and special. It is for these things that they are and will forever be remembered. It is in these acts, big and small, that David and Shelley and Holly and all those who have passed live on. They will always and forever have a place to call home, here in the heart and soul of the university. Though in the wake of loss, we are at first overtaken by darkness, we march on by the light of memory, and with every step this light grows brighter, fed by the fuel of the actions it inspires. acts of compassion and valor, acts of bravery and sacrifice, acts of everyday kindness and grand benevolence, and most of all, acts of consuming and abiding love. Soon this light grows so bright that it cannot be extinguished, and in that light, even in death, we live on. I'd now like to invite up Abe Axler to share a poem and lead us in a moment of silence.
I'm going to read Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep by Mary Elizabeth Fry. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there, I do not sleep. I am the thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. And I'd like to now observe a brief moment of reflective silence in honor of Holly Engel.
I've got another one, this one titled When Tomorrow Starts Without Me. When tomorrow starts without me, I'm not there to see. If the sun should rise and find your eyes all filled with tears for me, I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today, while thinking of the many things you didn't get to say. I know how much you love me, as much as I love you. And each time that you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. But when tomorrow starts without me, please try to understand. When an angel came and called my name and took me by the hand and said my place was ready in heaven far above, and that I'd have to leave behind all the things I dearly love. But as I turned to walk away, a tear fell from my eye. For all my life, I'd always thought I didn't want to die. I had so much to live for, so much yet to do. It seemed almost impossible when I was leaving you. I thought of all the yesterdays, the good ones and the bad. I thought of all the love we shared and all the fun we had. If I could relive yesterday, just even for a while, I'd say goodbye and kiss you and maybe see you smile. But then I fully realized that could never be, for emptiness and memories would take the place of me. And when I thought of worldly things I might miss come tomorrow, I thought of you. And when I did, my heart was filled with sorrow. But when I walked through heaven's gates, I felt so much at home. When God looked down and smiled at me from his great golden throne, he said, "This is eternity and all I've promised you. Today your life on earth is past, and here it starts anew. I promise no tomorrow, but today will always last. And since each day is the same day, there's no longing for the past. But you have been so faithful, so trusting, and so true. Though there were times you did some things you know you shouldn't do. But you have been forgiven, and now, at last, you're free. So won't you take my hand and share my life with me? So when tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart. For every time you think of me, I'm right here in your heart. With that, another moment of silence. It's time for David Silver. Thank you.
So I have another poem, and it's titled God Bless the World, and it was written by Shelley at the age of 8. The world is more than America. There are a lot of religions in the world, and God believes in them all. God does not just love us. He loves India, Asia, and the whole world. God would not have made the world if he did not believe that we could improve it. Everyone has a goal, and mine is to make the world a better place. Everyone is a brother or sister to each other. It is selfish to think that God just blesses your country. God bless the world. And with that, we'll take a moment of silence for Mary Shelley Bowles.
The poem I have is titled, I Will Lend You a Child, by Edgar Guest. I'll lend you for a little time a child of mine, he said, for you to love the while he lives and mourn for when he's dead. It may be 6 or 7 years, or 22 or 3, but will you, till I call him back, take care of him for me? He'll bring his charms to gladden you, and should his stay be brief, you'll have his lovely memories as solace for your grief. I cannot promise he will stay, since all from earth return, but there are lessons taught down there I want this child to learn. I've looked the wide world over in my search for teachers true, and from the throngs that crowd life's lanes, I have selected you. Now will you give him all your love, not think the labor vain, nor hate me when I come to call and take him back again? I fancied that I heard them say, Dear Lord, thy will be done. For all the joy that child shall bring, the risk of grief we run. We'll shelter him with tenderness, we'll love him while we may, and for the happiness we have known, forever grateful stay. But should the angels call for him, much sooner than we planned, we'll brave the bitter grief that comes, and try to understand. With that, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Tommy and all the members of the class of 2014 who aren't with us today. At this point in time, the podium is open for family, friends, and loved ones to come up and share thoughts, memories, stories. You have all the time in the world, so please come on up.
Hi, I'm Elvira McLeese. I'm a friend of Dee Dee Goldsmith. My son was a friend of Shelley Goldsmith's. He's over at William and Mary now. I just wanted to let everybody know, Shelley was the type of person that if you knew her and she knew you, you thought that you were her best friend. That's how she made you feel when you were with her. And if we were in an audience of people and said, who thinks Shelley's their best friend? Everybody would raise their hand. But she had that ability to connect with you on so many levels. And I just wanted to let you know she was a wonderful person that way. And my son told me that once they were having a conversation, philosophical conversation about a soul. And he said, well, what do you think a soul is, Shelley? And Shelley said, I think a soul is what you leave in other people's hearts when you're gone. And I think that captures Shelley a lot. And I really thank you, and I know the Goldsmith, thank you for being here today. Thank you.
I'm Diane Gilliam, and I'm Tommy's grandmother. I wish his parents could be here today, but I'm glad I'm close enough by to be available. I really want to thank you all for making this occasion part of my life today, and that you do it on a regular basis is quite wonderful. I'll tell you a couple of things about Tommy that you may not know. He didn't hang back, I'm telling you, about his life. Tommy was, as you know, lived in Ireland, and he was very involved in a youth group in a church. And it was not the church he belonged to, but the church he belonged to was very small. And so the larger church, which was the mother church out of which this one sprang, had a youth group, and he attended that youth group with his friends and his brothers. That church is establishing a retreat center, and the prayer room, or chapel, however it's to be called finally, is being named Tommy's Place. And the reason is that Tommy, in that youth group, has pictures of himself all over the wall of the youth center. He didn't make them. They're not selfies. He didn't do that. We weren't doing that then. But the pictures are of Tommy standing on ladders, standing on the back of a truck, directing people at how to do the game, standing tall, because he was taller than most of the crowd, and leading the singing or the directions or whatever it was he was doing. And because he grew and loved that place and grew in his love for God in that place, they decided to make it for him. And it's quite an honor, and it's thrilling to his mother and dad and to his grandparents. And they are able to design it, and it's stained glass windows and very contemporary stained glass windows. And his aunt, my daughter, has provided some of the drawings for the windows, and so we have a sort of a family connection now with that place through her paintings and the drawings. But I tell you that story because I think it sort of epitomizes who Tommy was. Tommy was sort of a natural leader and a magnetic person. I think he attracted a lot of folks. I think he said that. And it has thrilled my husband and me to remain friends with a lot of Tommy's friends through these last 3 years, and to see them graduate and move on. We wish Tommy was part of this, but he's graduated to heaven already. And I'll tell you one final thing. Someone sent me a quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and it was so significant to me because it had a coda for me. The quote goes something like this, and I won't be able to say it precisely. Paraphrase it. Bonhoeffer said, "Don't try to fill the gap in your heart when someone you love is gone. That place belongs to that person and that person only. And it's not to be filled by anyone else or for anything else. That's a very rough paraphrase. But the word that God gave to me after that was, yes, I have a hole, and I have a Tommy-shaped hole in my heart. But when I get to heaven, and I'm in the presence of Tommy, and in the presence of the Lord, Tommy will fill that hole. And that's true for each one of you as well. If you're heaven bound, that's true for each one of you. Tommy will fill that Tommy-shaped hole in your heart.
Hi everyone, my name is Wallace. I want to come up today and speak about my friend David Sobel. Unfortunately, David wasn't able to be at the university very long, and as a transfer student, he might not have gotten the same chance to me as many people, as a lot of other people here could have. I've heard so many amazing things about Tommy, about Shelley, about Holly. But unfortunately, very few people have been able to talk about David with me in that regard because of the short time here. So selfishly, I'd like to talk about him with you a little bit, but also I think it's important to tell everyone what impact he's had on us here. So I met David in my econ class, second year, Calvix class, as everyone knows, huge class. I was a pretty shy kid back then. Second year, I really didn't have a huge friends group or anything of that sort, and here comes this kid out of nowhere, sits down next to me, starts talking to me instantly, and just, you could just feel his eagerness radiating out of him. He was so excited for everything that was being presented to him. And we found out we grew up across the river from each other, me in Pennsylvania, him in New Jersey. For out-of-state students here, you all know if you live about a half hour away from each other, you might as well be next-door neighbors, because they're the only person you can talk about a lot of stuff with. So it was awesome seeing a kid, meeting somebody who knew what I was talking about when I referred to certain restaurants and that type of thing, and we instantly took to each other. And like I said, the biggest thing with David is that eagerness he showed to come up and make my friend, be friends with me, just trying to expand his friend group, being a transfer student right there. That was one of his first classes at the university, and me being timid, I couldn't believe that he'd be willing to just sit down next to anyone, start up conversations, and try to strike some friendships. And that was really something that continued throughout David's entire life here. If there was something he wanted to change, or if there's something that he wanted to make happen, he was going to do it. He grew up in New Jersey, and he went to prep school in New Jersey as well, about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from home. And talking to him, I kind of found out he didn't really want to be in New Jersey that much. So for a lot of kids would have just accepted their fate and stayed in the state. And he went to North Carolina, went to Davidson College. And then at Davidson, after 1 year, he decided he didn't like it that much. It wasn't a big enough place for him. He wasn't getting the chance to meet all the different people that he wanted to meet. And a lot of us, I think, after first year would have stayed there to see how things changed. Not David. David transferred first year right away, came to the University of Virginia, tried to meet as many people as possible. And that's just how David was. Every day after class, you'd see him at the front. He was the kid that sometimes people dread, but at least he waited till after class to go up to the professor and talk about all the material that they were talking about. Even after a topic lecture in front of 400 people, he wanted to know certain things, he wanted to address certain things. And David would have it no other way. He was eager to learn. He was eager to understand new things. And as I said, as a transfer student coming in second year, and as I used to joke with him since he was banished up to Coakley, I think David at times had trouble connecting with as many people as the university would have liked to. And but by the effort he put forth and by how excited he was about everything, you would have never realized it. When David passed in the summer after my second year, I was really confused, and I had no mutual friends with David too much. We'd eat lunch with each other, usually by ourselves, maybe with one or two of my friends casually. We'd play basketball together, or we would just hang out after class, in class together. But I didn't really have anyone else to talk to David about. Not only that, the manner in which David left the world left a lot of questions as well. Questions why. Could anything else have changed? Could anything have changed? What would have happened? And I think all those close to David had those same questions, and they're never going to be answered, unfortunately. But so at first, it was those thoughts that consumed me about David, like what could I have done differently? What could we all have done differently? why it happened. I just wanted to know more, but I couldn't really talk to many people about that type of stuff. But it didn't take me long to realize that's not what I want to remember about David. Instead, there was other things that were important. He taught me the importance of going to get what you want at all times, the eagerness in life. I think, and I've taken that to heart, I think looking at me back at second year and how much I've changed since fourth year, he's played a huge part in that. I'm a much more social person now. I'm willing to engage in a lot more things, and I attribute a lot of that to David. And most importantly, I think it's what he taught me is the impact and importance you can have on somebody's life in such a short time. I didn't get to hang out with David every day. I saw him, several times throughout, a lot of times first semester with the class we had, several times second semester after we no longer had class together. So I'm not sitting here trying to claim I was his best friend or anything of that sort, but we had a friendship and it didn't get to last long, but at the same time I took a lot from what David taught me. And he was such a special guy in that regard that you couldn't leave talking to him without taking something from him. So thanks for letting me share what I know about David, and I'm sure he really appreciate everybody here listening to this. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Elijah Katie. I was Holly's roommate for a year here.
She transferred here as a third year last year, and she was just a really fun person, and somebody that I came in as I was a first year and I didn't really have that many friends, and she just kind of took me and just
Introduced us.
yeah,
And,
she made me and her best friends, and she just she had so much she's so happy.
even in her darkest times, she wouldn't bring anybody else down. She would try to uplift everybody else. And I heard she has. The first thing you could think is that heaven got a little bit more fun, or a lot more fun out of it. So I just wanted, I don't know if anybody else here knows her. I just wanted to let everybody know what kind of person she was. I'm sorry. She's a very fun person, very intelligent.
It's unreal because I always think, oh, I want to hang out with her again.
Right. we miss her very much. In the short time we knew her, we became very close. She was one of my best friends here. Not having her back was very difficult. But, she, like I said, makes me have it more fun. And looking down upon us and helping us in our journey through not only UVA but life as well. So we miss her and we love her. Thank you.
Thank you all for sharing. With that, I'd like to bring the service to a close. But each year, Council passes resolutions in memory and in honor of those who passed. And if anyone would like a copy, please come up and let me know. Or if you'd like a link to the video of the service, please let me know as well. Thank you.